Alright. It's Mothership, and we've got Clem in the bottom right side of the map. Clem up against Falcon's Solar in the top left. And Mothership is a 3-player map. It's a map where I do think Terran is going to come out favored. And I think in general on this map pool, Terran is a little bit favored just due to the spread of the bases and some really good tank push paths on a lot of these maps. Does this fit the bill in terms of tank positions? Well, I think it's got a few pretty good ones. I am imagining a tank getting dropped here and sieged up there could be really nice. I'm also thinking if tanks get down along these edges, that could be really hard to deal with the Terran kind of pushing towards your natural. I'm very curious though, because I haven't actually seen much Terran versus Zerg on this map. This is of course the semi-finals right now of the Pigstarcraft Weekly, number 59, and it's going to be a standard hatch first for Solar. Very straightforward for him, and we'll see exactly how he goes. Now, I really feel like Solar is very competitive with Clem recently. Don't think he's taken any really big series off him, like best of 5 or greater, though he might have won a best of 3. I think what I noticed though is there's always a point where Solar just he plays Ling Bane almost exclusively, right? And he's very good at it, but there's always a point where he pulls this whole army together with an F2. And I feel like control group discipline is actually so important against Clem, because there are times where Clem falls behind, but then he'll attack up here on the 4th, Solar will F2 his whole army, defend it, and then a double drop slides in and kills 15 drones, and suddenly Clem starts to run away with the momentum of the game. And that's a very problematic thing, because remember with Solar's style, you know, he's often playing low anti-air, often straight to Hive, skipping the Hydras entirely, or going to them, but not having the mobility of something like Corruptors or anything like that. Doesn't have Blink Stalkers or Phoenix or Stim Marines. We all know about the Zerg anti-air and how annoying drops can be. Luckily for Solar, Clem does go in the wrong direction. Of course, the Overlord will see the SCV. If he hides that Overlord on the pillar, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter if Clem sees where that Overlord is. We've got a viewer tournament this weekend, if you're watching this on YouTube. Too late to sign up for it now. I can't imagine this has gone live until at least... oh, who knows? Maybe I'll put it out tonight. We'll see before it goes live. But thank you everyone who's been signing up for that. That should be really fun. I'm so excited to see how everyone goes. No such thing as embarrassing yourself in a community Swiss bracket tournament. So keen to see everyone there. Hopefully a few first-time tournament players. Third hatchery's on the way. Ling Speed did start. He fully pulled off gas. And interestingly enough, guys, there's no third queen. So Solar's rushed Ling Speed third hatch. Is he Ling flooding? He's Ling flooding. He's going to Ling flood. The reason we know this is that third queen's crazy late, right? And don't get me wrong, drones are the most important thing. You've got to build that economy. Lings are more important against Hellions than queens these days because queens are so expensive and Lings are just a bit more consistent at surrounding them, but that third queen is so late in the main. It's coming down now. He wants to throw the creep tumor down here, but he needs both queens forward to protect it first and foremost. And the Zergans, of course, are on that south side watching for the Reaper ledge. His creep gets delayed. I do think Solar lets his creep get delayed maybe a bit more than I'd like to see personally. And there we go. He will get that creep tumor down, but 3.5 minutes on the first tumor feels incredibly weak. Then again, Solar is a king of playing without much creep spread. He says, you can take map control, but you can't push into me actual bases. And he is now going to start 2 queens at a time. He's got 2 bases saturated very early. Got the gas up. Lings catch the Reaper on the north. And the first 2 Hellions come forwards. It is going to be a Hellion Banshee opening for Clem. Very straightforward. It's usually rotating between that and a 2-1-1. Both off 3 command center. And I assume Clem's going to expand 3rd here, 4th here. Push towards the Zerg. While Solar goes 3rd here, 4th here. And the problem for Solar is where the hell do you take a 5th? Do you try to take it in the middle of the map here, towards the Terran? Terrible idea. Yet if you take it up here, how the hell do you defend this from drops? I think it's the better call to try and take this 5th up north and just get good vision out there and have a squad of Ling Bane roaming in the north of the map. Because you can always then turn that into a counter-attack down this right side, especially if Clem expands towards the front third. Hitting with Ling Bane from this angle, busting his natural wall, is one of your best tactical angles to find damage later on. And these are the things you got to think about on these maps, because just playing standard straight up on Mothership, not the greatest idea. Then again, like I said, this map pool is rough, especially the best of 5s and best of 7s. You're going to be playing a lot of maps where you're maybe feeling like the Terran has a little bit of an advantage on you. I think that's the one thing which, you know, wasn't really until the map pool came out where I've looked at it, I've played a bunch of games, and I've said, ooh, it does feel like if there was one more Old Republic replacing one of the smaller maps with the really good Terran bush paths, then maybe it would be switching around. But it's kind of interesting how just having one more, bit more push-friendly map, bit more Terran-friendly map does make the whole map pool feel a lot stronger. And it's just the way the vetoes come down, right? Best of 3, you both veto 2 maps. But that means you both remove the other player's strongest maps. So if they've got 3 strong maps, or if they still get 1 really good map kind of thing, you know? Whereas if they've only got 2, well, you remove those 2 really good maps and they don't get any of their favored maps. And that's just the kind of interesting thing about the way this works. Now, Overseer's already here. Complete shutdown on the Banshee! Big D Solar. Oh my god, get wrecked, Clem. Get wrecked. Sorry, guys, I'm cheering for Solar because he is an underdog here. Clem's really hard to beat. Don't know if you guys have watched, even Cyril often gets big leads on Clem, and then Clem just wriggles his way back into the game with ridiculous multitasking. Big thanks for the raid, Steadfast. Hope you had fun casting that Hero Maru series. I'm going to try and cast that maybe tomorrow or the day after. I didn't realize that RSL Finals already happened, so we'll try to cover that one over the next few days as well, because it did look like a banger. Hellion's coming forward. Big called Solar a dog? No, he's Korean. He eats dogs. Clem's the dog, you dumb guys. That's a twofer joke, because number one, I was actually calling Clem the dog, and I was cheering for Solar. But there's also a little jokey joke in there for you guys. Infestation pit's almost done. Hydras are coming out. Sorry, guys. Just riffing with the Twitch chat a little bit here. What can I say? 4th hatchery is up north. 75 workers is a lot. He's trying to play the pure Hydra style, which is really good against Widow Mines. And Clem's gone straight mines, guys. Clem's gone straight Widow Mines. This is really good for Solar, because not only did he slap down the Banshee, he took no damage, but he's gone Hydras. This is the mass Hydra 1-1 Hydra style. It's the counter to the Widow Mine style. Really hard to do it on smaller maps, but actually Mothership seems like it's big enough where maybe he could pull it off. Unfortunately, he does leave the north open, and that means he's only got 1 queen there, so he's going to lose a lot of drones on that base. Pick up in the middle is really nicely done. I'm just going to make the most of this, and he will get 6-8 drones, something like that. 6 drones? Okay, that could have been worse for Solar, honestly. That could have been much worse. That being said, you need a lot of money to make this style work. Ooh, gets a few Marines before Clem even reacts. Really good start to that fight. Brilliant start to that engagement. And this creep spread here is really important. He needs creep out here. If he can get creep here into this middle... I don't know, what do we call this, guys? The middle pylon thing? The super pylon. If he can get creep over this middle area, it's going to allow him to defend that northern base much easier, because Clem's going to have to start going around the flanks, which, as you can see, Clem is already prepared to do. Double drop in the south, double drop in the top right. First 2 infestors are on the way. They'll be really good for catching these drops as well. Combat shields has finally been remembered. I think he meant to have it kind of delayed, but obviously wouldn't want it any later than what it is now. There's no +2 carapace just yet, as of course this is a very gas-heavy style for Solar. He's delaying that 2-2. Hellbats get surrounded. That's a good fight for Solar. Hellbats, of course, are good against Zerglings, but if they just die so quickly they can't even get a few shots off, then it's all fine. That's the core of the Mothership, Pig. That's... Oh, this pylon powers it? That's the... Is this the Mothership core? Is it? Oh, look at that! Clem messed up! Clem messed up! Clem got jumped on in the middle. He got distracted. He's trying to get out of range of Fungal, which he manages to do, but he loses like 8 Marines on the left side. That's a really good fight. That Fungal completely whiffs, but Solar's got control of the power core right now. If he can keep respreading creep through the middle, which you can see he's aggressively doing, brings his queens forward immediately. This is really good. Notice this habit he has. He spreads creep, pulls his queens back, and then whenever he pushes Clem back, his queens come forward and replace any creep that he's already lost. Gets the Widow Mine before it can fire. The Marines still do not have combat shields, guys. This is actually really big. They've only got 45 hit points, 35 after stimming against Hydras that basically like 2 or 3 shot them. Now, unfortunately, there's a Banshee. He's got to fungal it. You got to fungal it. Solar. Okay, finally fungals it to reveal it. Hydras are still there in a good combat formation. A few Zerglings might be able to set this off. He doesn't have any fungal left to fall back on. Uh-oh. Has Solar gone too deep into enemy territory? We're about to find out. This is either an amazing fight or a terrible fight for Solar, and I don't quite know. It looks like it's amazing. He does end up breaking the line. Whoever ends up winning the fight, you can see the tail end of the fight goes really well for the guy who's overwhelming. That being said, Solar trying to push through Widow Mine tank. There's a lot more mines here than he expected, but there's just so little consistent firepower that it looks like with the Widow Mines doing a little bit of friendly fire as well. I love the Overlord drag in the previous fight, dragging one of those Widow Mines on the Marines. Oh, that was beautiful, man. Really well done. He's got 2 more fungals now, both ticking over right now. And you know he wants to land that big juicy. Well, it's not a crazy fungal, but it's a decent one. More Hydras are rallying in right now. He's still got 1-1. Remember, he never started 2-2. 2-2's kicking in for Terran at this moment. Solar's Infestors need to get out of here. Solar stayed a bit too deep in enemy territory, but I think he's killed so many SCVs on the third base, he feels okay with it. There's just so little Marine Marauder. And now, finally, Solar is going to back away. He's only on 77 workers. It's not like a 90 drone Zerg. On the other hand, Clem down to just 55. But the upgrade advantage is there. 2-2 versus 1-1 is big. There's no fungal energy right now. And one of the Infestors will get sniped because Clem is a mad lad. Still got 11 medevacs, so he's got pretty much unlimited healing, even with the juice being so low. He's just a bit low on Marines and Marauders. Oh, good Widowmine on the Zerglings, though. One medevac does go down. Hydra's chasing for Solar. An ambitious ploy. I think Solar needs to be really careful in his next engagement. I think 1 or 2 good fungals, and this snowballs really, really well for Solar and badly for Clem. You've got to be careful. Does clean up this middle. He's still got the creep here. So he's got creep. You can see the tip of his creep now touching the core of the mothership. Lings on the right side came in and got 2 SCVs. Planetary is now morphing on that side. Clem starts 3-3. He's going to maintain his upgrade advantage. He could definitely get back in this game. Most players would be dead by now, but he's actually making it quite playable. Now, Solar's going to take this middle base. This is what I talked about. This middle base sucks, man. He can run Marines in here and snipe drones from the low ground. If he loses control of the center, the base dies, but he just doesn't want to have to defend this drop in the north. I do think defending the edge bases is the better play. Of course, if you have Mutas or Corruptors, it's a much better play, but with Hydras, you can never really hunt these drops down. You just need to leave a chunk of army up there, which is tough, but this is where this 5th base becomes untenable, and the 4-base Clem might be able to just recover this. Like, Solar needs to be very technical in how he takes this next engagement. He needs to not throw his Infestor away. He's got to be really careful, man. Remember, Hydras outrange Marines, so if you fungal them, the Marines aren't very effective at all. 6th base tries to go up north, but it's a excuse me, it's a backup base. It was not the original choice. The queens all go down in the middle. Remember what I was saying? He keeps pulling his queens back to safety in between throwing creep tumors. Well, that time he didn't. The thing is, he's got lurkers now. He's got lurkers with lurker range about to come in. His army is much better than Clem's. Oh, he gets a fungal on the medevacs. Okay, 1 or 2 medevacs go down. Not quite as many as he maybe would have liked, but he gets a lot of the units nonetheless. If he can get a lurker here, if he can start spreading lurkers out, Clem cannot deal with it. Clem is not prepared for late game. He only has 3 orbitals, but Clem is keeping the Zerg back because he knows he can't beat Lurker, Hydra, Infestor in a frontal fight, but he can outmaneuver it, he can outposition it, and that's exactly what he's doing right now. Runs forward, gets himself a Lurker kill, and lands a few Widow Mines, snipes the 6th base up the top again. 5th base is still not mining. This is huge. This is what Clem does, guys. This is where Clem works his way back into games where he's completely dead. He's completely dead, but Solar just cannot find a way to get to the other side of the map, and this is the problem everyone runs into with Clem. He can end up in an awkward position, but he will dance around the map. He will micro and macro perfectly at the same time. When Beyond plays like this, his macro is always making little slip-ups. Not big ones, but little slip-ups here and there. The difference is Clem doesn't make slip-ups. He just keeps macroing perfectly while doing this, and he doesn't go tanks or range libs to defend the lurkers. He just stays so much in your face, your lurkers never get to move across the map. It's so frigging ridiculously powerful, and it's purely off the back of his speed and his ability to multitask better than just about anybody else. The Bio Mine coming forward. Yes, the Widow Mines are outranged. The Liberators are there covering it a little bit. A few snipes go down. The Lurker does fall. Overseers try to come in. Nice fungal on the Hydras. Nice fungal Hydra. But he doesn't have the numbers to overwhelm, and engaging into libs never goes well for Hydras unless you have a massive numbers advantage. Drop does go in the main, but of course he's paying attention and dodges the Spore Crawler with the unload. Dude, I can't believe this. I thought Clem was dead. His Hellion Banshee did no damage. His Hellion Banshee did no damage. and then it's a Widow Mines into Hydras. How? I mean, I guess the Hellions did deny a bunch of workers up there early, which was good for him. Oh man, I really thought Solar had this one in the bag, but Baguette Man too strong. And it was kind of like a mass 1-1 Hydra roll in, right? Normally you see players with this style not only take this base, but also take that hatchery, take those gases and that sort of stuff. But I really think the best way to play this map is never to take this base. This base is total garbage in my opinion. I think the argument behind taking this base is, well, you've got Hydra Fungal, you can fight his army front on, but we saw that the ledge makes it so hard to actually... Because if you move your army down here, Well, he can rotate up north. Like, you know, you kind of want to control this center area, but then they can shimmy down here below the mineral line. I'm really wondering, you know, should Solar have just taken the 5th up the top, droned up? I do think the northern 5th is the better choice. I think you just need more Overlords, more Zerglings scattered across this right side to see drops coming, and you need to keep a squad of Hydraling, maybe a single Infestor over there as well. Because I think having an Infestor on your off lane is one of the biggest things. Even after his attack didn't quite break Clem, I still think he should have been in an okay position, but I do think chasing in here was like definitely the point where I was like, oh, okay, you broke his army, maybe just back off and regroup, because you don't have Fungal, your army's a little bit low here. If we look at the units lost, let's do a quick analysis. So he's down 1,100 in the resources lost here. Now let's look after he pushes in here. Okay, so the fight's effectively over at this point. So now he's down 2,000 resources lost, but he killed 24 SCVs. I mean, you'd think theoretically that should be worth it because you've killed 24 SCVs. 4th base did get up in the midst of it. If he was able to kill that 4th command center or deny it completely, he got another 5-10 SCVs. Like, if you got like one Hydra in here or something, maybe it's different. But yeah, I think this is still not the end of the world by any means. But I think when you get to this next minute where Clem starts multi-pronging, there has to be an extra Infestor built. I also think +2 Carapace was very late, and this really did stack up for sure. But I think one of the big things is don't take this hatchery, take this one, and then you should split one Infestor off with a pack of Hydraling, and they should just be roaming the north, specifically looking to catch drops. And with Fungal, you can actually catch drops. You know? Because they're not expecting you to have an Infestor on your off lane, because almost all Zergs just keep all their Infestors in their main army. And remember, he's only got one Infestor right now as well. But the problem is, this Hydra Infestor army is all about controlling space. And because he can't defend this base without going off creep down here, which kind of gives up middle control, that's why this base feels so awkward. Because with this army, normally you can set up a concave of Hydras and Infestors, and you can say, hey, you can't push into this, right? Widowmines can't walk into Hydra Infestor. Problem is, Clem is able to walk right up and deny your 5th base. And that's really, really nasty. And he even saves the Widowmines, and then he keeps denying this hatchery at the same time up there. And Solar's kind of stuck in this, well, I'm not getting this base up and mining, even though you're not killing the hatchery. And this base gets denied like 2-3 times in the next 2 minutes. And that's where things are really rough. And even that, he saves 6 of the 8 Marines, unloads, immediately cancels it again. That's why, yeah, you need a pack of Hydras up here. It feels really hard to cover. But I think on the other hand, you have to understand on these big maps, I'm thinking back to Whirlwind, Heart of the Swarm. It's really far for a guy to drop up here. And they're not really monitoring these drops on these far corners as much as normal. And it takes a long time to get in and actually do any damage with them. So I do think something we'll see on these maps, if there are more like big open corners like this that are far away where the players are expanding into these massive areas of the map, people are going to remember some of their old, think of like 2017 King's Cove, think of Heart of the Swarm. There were certain maps you would play that was so big and had such space, especially the 4-player maps, where actually spotting everything in those corners, stopping enemy drops, defending faraway expansions, doing your own drops or run-bys, it was a skill which I think players aren't as good at because we've kind of had the maps almost all become very medium-sized. We're not used to these maps having these giant corners with no watchtowers or anything where it's hard to scout and keep track of things. But yeah, hats off to Clem. I mean, even here he gets caught by Fungal, but he saves most of the medevacs, doesn't lose too much bio. He just is relentless. And Clem's always said with this style, yeah, he might not be able to beat a Lurker, Hydra, Infestor frontal push right now because Widowmines are worthless. But what if his Widowmines are sieging on your base and you're not ready for it? And then he's diving in here and burrowing Widowmines here, and he's able to get into Ghosts here. Get into 3/3 upgrades in Ghost, maintain a big upgrade advantage while keeping Zerg busy. This was just such an impressive game, and he does it almost effortlessly, right? For any other player, you would have really, I think, felt the stress with them doing this multitasking. But if you look at Clem's money, it's so low while he's doing this sort of attacking on all sides. It's what makes him so difficult in this matchup. We've seen him do this to Serral before as well, make comebacks just like this. Really well played by Clem. Right, that was a pretty sick comeback. Sorry for gushing about Clem there for so long. Not sure if I'm going to... I didn't put like a GG outro timing, so I think I have to leave that whole gush session in the cut for YouTube. You're not meant to beat Solar from that position. Clem's the only guy that could do it. I've got to kind of investigate a little bit and go, what could Solar have done better? What was so good about what Clem did? For Clem, it's just this seamless movement, and it really is. It's the classic skill for Terran players, for all StarCraft players, but especially aggressive Terran players, where it's how good are you at recognizing a good fight versus a bad fight off of like a single frame, right? He can glance over here and say, hey, I've got Marine Widowmine about to walk into Lurkers, and he can stutter step to the side, kill 10 drones, pick up, fade away as the Hydras arrive, unload here, and then come back in 30 seconds later, while doing the same thing on the other side of the map, while macroing perfectly and defending a Ling run by. And that's just a level of ability to bounce between tasks, and it almost feels like Clem doesn't really have to use active brain power. It's all muscle memory, pattern recognition, and just instincts and habits that he's built up over so many years of grinding the game that allow him to do this at a higher level with faster reaction speed than most players are capable of. It is incredibly impressive. So we've got an interesting suggestion. We were talking about recall and how it's you know, sometimes recall, and like Protoss is, we're talking about how like the 3-player map Mothership, it rewards the person who controls the map way more because you have more places you can attack, but you also have more resources. Due to the asymmetry of the map, if you control the center, you get the whole third player's resources are basically free for you to take and impossible for your opponent to take without those bases getting sniped, right? And I thought that was a really good point from Brainless, and I was saying, yeah, it's kind of one of the weird things is like, I love maps that make you fight for map control and reward players for getting out on the map and being active, right? I think one of the biggest problems with the old 6-worker and just the way the tech trees and everything worked and the mineral counts in Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm, the big thing that, you guys know I complain about the legacy economy a bit, and I've done a few videos analyzing it and stuff. The big thing that the legacy economy fixed was players just sitting on their ass and doing nothing for a long time. Dude, I can't believe he didn't spore trick that drone. If Clem let that Reaper shoot with his second pistol, that would have been a dead drone. That was very greedy for Solar, and he's actually lucky that Clem microed his own Reaper away. For those who don't know, you'll notice the Reaper has to shoot one pistol, the other pistol shoots a fraction of a second later. And what Clem did is he fired his first shot on this drone, but then he moved the Reaper before it fired the second shot. And that fraction of a second meant this drone survived with like 1 or 2 hit points. And that actually saved it. So Clem micros his way out of extra damage there. He's actually doing a 2-base build. Much quicker Hellion production and much quicker starport. He's going to go probably very quick Banshee, Hellion Banshee. And that means usually he wants to dive 4 Hellions before Ling Speed is finished. And Ling Speed started pretty late. So I think he's going to have a window to do that before Ling Speed is ready. Solar's going to need to make sure his queens are well positioned on the front and try to maybe block the ramp with either a queen or the slow Zerglings, because this 4 Hellion dive is almost certainly going to at least look for an opening. Does get a Creep Tumor snipe there as well. Solar, I told you guys how he's always really late to put his Creep Tumor down. Well, he put it down really late and it got sniped, which is a disaster. Because now, if he moves over to this third, gets out of position with these queens, they're not going to be able to get back to the left side. 3rd and 4th Hellions driving out. Banshee and Cloak are already on the way. Clem's 3rd command center is very delayed. He needs a lot more damage than you need in a normal 3 command center game. This is early Legacy theory. Early Legacy, people always played this style Clem's playing, and it was standard for Terran to do a lot more damage, but still not be that in that great a position, right? Because you're committing so much more to it. This is a more action-packed game, and those queens are out of position. Ling Speed's not ready. As I said, the 4 Hellion dive is almost always going to happen with this build order. He has nothing to block the ramp. This is a disaster for Solar. He's got 12 Lings building, but he's already taking a fair bit of damage. Oh, the queen! Can she block? No, he didn't get her quite. If he got her right in the middle, he would have at least forced the Reaper to throw a grenade, but Clem driving through this base, roasting, toasting. Oh, this is a best of 5, by the way, guys. Sorry, I don't know why that scoreboard's wrong. This is a semi-final. 5 drones go down. Oh, misrally. Misrallied. Okay, Clem does throw 2 Hellions away. And Solar didn't overbuild Zerglings. He's got spores building. It's going to be ready just before the Banshee arrives. He needs a spore in the 3rd, though, right now. He's going to throw 47 Creep Tumors at his 3rd base, which is hilarious. Command Center's only just started. That's an incredibly late Command Center, but the wall-off is there. Solar's going to have to back off, and the Banshee gets 2 drones before getting pushed back. But, of course, Cloak is already there. Spore Crawler not done on this base. These drones need to run. These drones need to run to the right. Run. Oh, he's not running. Transfuse actually makes a lot of sense here. Saves himself a few drones with the transfuse. Not a massive amount, but hey, Only one more drone died, actually. I think that's worth the transfuses. You're so low on economy. It's weird to save drones with transfuse. Obviously, they're so low on hit points, but I think you're desperate economically as Solar. So you kind of need to do something like that. And I actually think he stabilized really well. "58 workers. Baneling Nest is there. Lairs, of course, finished. I imagine we're going to see 1-1 upgrades, but no, he's going to try and go Spire? Wow. I mean, Spire's good against Banshees. And still no Overseer, though. Oh, yeah, where's his Overseer? It's Morph, but I don't know where it is. Coming over from... He morphed in a bit of a bad spot. Oh, he's going to lose a Queen here if he's not careful. Transfuse! Bit slow on the Transfuse. Dude, if he loses any more Queens, it's a disaster. Okay, there we go. That's a good Transfuse. Does push the Banshees back, but feels like some pretty decent damage. Hellion's trying to go for a poke, which is insane. Does see the Baneling Nest, so at least he confirms it's a Zergling play, not a Roach play. 66 workers to 52. Still seems like an okay number, but you got to realize the tech position. The problem that I see with Solar's position right now... Get out of there. The Banshees do too much damage. The problem I see is his upgrades are going to be so late, which is, yes, that's a feature of Mutalisk play, but also, how many Mutas does he actually build? And he's got 70 workers. He needs to defend this 4th base. He cannot lose that again. He's very low on Queens as well. 6 Queens total is not very many. So 3 injecting, 3 for defending and spreading creep. And there's already Marine Medevac coming. So yeah, he's going to build Mutas, but I don't know if he can defend the first Marines. Oh, look at that. Single tank. Single tank. 19 Marines moving across the map. The Banshees are going home to defend from any potential run-bys. And he wants to put this tank right on this edge, if possible. But Changeling's going to see it. Changeling sees it. We need Banelings. We need Zerglings. Oh, he's going to actually put the tank over here, is he? He's going to put it in real deep. That sounds really dirty. I don't know why! Ling, he's going to go pure Ling Muta is Solar. He's not going to bother with Banelings because Bane Speed's not ready. And he realizes, I need to just crush this army. But he's going to lose his 4th if he doesn't go now. And that means he's got to go before Mutalisks are ready. Some of the Lings do go to the left side to deal with the tank, but that means there's nothing to deal with the Marines. And this is the timing I was talking about with the tech. The Mutas come out, but they're forced to fight front on because your Mutas are popping after the stim pressure hits, and that's always so awkward. Clem focuses down a few Mutalists. The 4th base does survive. If Solar lost that 4th, it was game over, lights out. But look at this. He's already back to droning. He realizes he needs to get the economy up. But 1 Muta goes down, another 2, 3, 4 Mutalisks get popped there, which means he's only got 2 to shut down the drop. This is a disaster. He's got to shoot down this medevac. The Marines are going to unload. Dude, if they kill that hatchery, that would actually be so stupid. There's no way. Okay, the Marines do fall finally. 8 gases going up right now, which is an interesting choice for Solar. He's basically saying, I need gas, I need gas, I need gas. I feel like Pureling Bane is what he needs to survive, and I don't think Clem's going to give him time. I think Clem sees new drones, he sees the 8 gases, and he's like, oh, cool, you're droning. I know I can push because I've seen that. I might be a bit afraid, overcommitting into a guy who's just massing Ling Bane Muta off 66 drones. But if I see you going at 80 drones with all the damage I've already done, I know that you are wide open for the damage, and those Banelings are not finished. That 4th base is so exposed, and that was the 4th base Solar could not afford to lose. Clem gets in, gets on top, and it all started with that Hellion run by. So let me explain, guys, how Solar could have known this was happening. And the problem is, he wasn't active with his Lings at all. So even when you don't have Ling speed, you want to try and sneak a Zergling out, if possible, or send an Overlord in. I don't think he did either. So I think he just went, look, it's Clem, he plays 3 command center every game, but he doesn't. Every single best of 5, often in a best of 3 even recently, Clem has been mixing in these quick double gas builds. It's no 3rd command center, quick double gas. So one of the biggest tells you can have is this depot. So even if your Ling just runs in from this side, even a slow Ling, you try to run it up the ramp, hopefully you get in between Hellions and see everything. But this depot is a big tell. Why? Because if they start a depot close to 3 minutes 30, this one started about 3:40, I think. Let's take a look at the exact timing that bad boy starts. Why would they build it now? The reason is because otherwise they're going to be supply blocked. Now, interestingly, he already built a depot back here. Most players won't do that. Most will start their wall off with this depot back here. If they've gone 3rd command center, they get an extra 15 supply, which means they're already at 61 supply. They don't need a depot until after 4 minutes. So the first depot on the natural won't start until after 4 minutes. So whether it's poking in with an Overlord to see this from the front or running a Zergling in at about 4 minutes, if they've got depots started at 3:20, 3:30, then you know there is no 3rd command center. This depot is a huge tell, even if you see nothing else. Scarlett taught me that one a few years ago when I was like, man, I can never tell if it's 3cc or 2cc. This is so impossible because they just have Hellions. You literally can't scout. And she pointed out that simple tell, and I remember being like, no way. So yeah, I think because Solar was just playing completely blind, he was kind of just assuming what was going to happen. He could still be safe against this, but you want to have at least 6 Zerglings. Losing the early creep tumor was really bad. I'll show you guys that snipe again because I think this kind of was about 320, 330. This really bad. It's already quite late, this creep tumor. He's delayed it. He cannot afford to be that risky with it. He also has to go for a tumor in the main because there is a lot of distance to cover on this map. But losing that tumor means his queens were a bit out of position, as we suspected. And this was just everything going right for Clem early and everything going bad for Solar. 2-0 lead for Clem. All right, guys. Clem in the top right side of the map. We had a bit of intermission there, but he's up 2-0 going to Tourmaline. Solar in the bottom left. Interesting maps, guys. You know, I've got to think about these maps, and I got to say to myself, what were the vetoes? I think Clem's removed Old Republic for sure. What other map do you take out as a Terran though? What is the other map? Is it Taito Citadel? I think is pretty big. So I think you remove the big maps as Clem, right? You want less space between you and the Zerg, especially against Solar, who you know is going to try to turtle to Hive Tech, and you want to be aggressive. But then what does Solar remove, guys? Like, obviously, he's getting rid of 10,000 feet. I actually think 10,000 feet is one of those maps Solar is going to beat Terran players. Serral, sorry, is going to beat Terran players on with really clever builds. And I think until Serral has to play big best of 5s and best of 7s, every Zerg's going to veto 10,000 feet. And I think Serral's going to show them how to F people up on it. Because those maps that have very obvious challenges that most Zergs steer away from, I feel like Serral has really creative solutions towards. But I think 10,000 feet would be one of Solar's vetoes. What do you guys think is the other veto for Terran? Giant Orange says, I'm surprised Tourmaline made it. I think it's a better map for Terran. I think it's a better map for Terran as well, but I think in terms of the map pool, it's very playable. Whereas I think there's other maps that are worse. I just can't think off the top of my head, chat. There's another map, right? Because obviously you get rid of, like I said, 10,000 feet. What other small... Ruby Rock is really rough, actually. Ruby Rock not only has this kind of spread out bases, but it's got really nasty ledges right in front. Whereas, yeah, this map has like a ledge, but it's pretty wide open on both sides of the ledge. So you can always flank around on Tourmaline. So I think Tourmaline is actually better than Ruby Rock. I think Ruby Rock is actually, like, you look at some of the tank positions on that map and how close it is third base to third base. On this map, third base for Terran's here, your third is here. There's a big distance. On Ruby Rock, both of your thirds are like towards each other in the middle, and there's like just this beautiful position to do an 8 racks tank push through the middle of Ruby Rock. So I think Ruby Rock and 10,000 feet are the current 2 vetoes for... Actually, I'm saying 2 vetoes. Don't we veto 3 maps in a best of 3? Because there's 9 maps in a pool. Oh, yeah, there is. Okay, I've still only figured out 2 of the vetoes. What's the third veto? Since Mothership and Tourmaline didn't get vetoed, and I think both of these maps kind of favor Terran a little bit. Like I said, I think overall the map pool's a bit better for Terran than Zerg in this matchup. But I'm curious. Someone's going to catch it. Oh, and White Rabbit, I have no idea how White Rabbit plays. It has a really weird middle cliff area, so maybe that's a bad one for Zerg. Someone's saying they think Zerg should veto that against Terran. Sea or Blue is? Yeah, you might be right on that. I've only played a little bit in White Rabbit. This is a best of 5, sorry. This is a double veto, so... Sorry, this is not the final map then, is it? I keep thinking everything's a best of 3, and I think it's because even 2 months after we instituted the best of 5 semis, do you know what the players would always do, guys? They'd play a best of 3. If there wasn't a caster or an admin in the game, they'd play a best of 3. They'd be like, yep, ready for the finals. And we'd be like, oh, what was the score? And they're like, 2-1. And we're like, you know, it's a best of 5. And they're like, oh, but we vetoed for a best of 3. And we're like, play the friggin' guys. It's been 2 months where every week this is a best of 5 semis. Please play the correct format. Oh, okay, dude, this is brutal. Not only a Zergling and a drone, but also a creep tumor. Solar's getting mauled. I have no other way to describe this. Like, I somewhere out there, you know, Dominic Cruz is saying, no, Solar's tiring him out. Look at how Clem Nurmagomedov is just on top of him, wasting all of his energy, but he's not actually submitting him. And he's just getting a few light elbows into his face. It's not really doing anything. This is all part of the strategy, is for Solar to be on the bottom. And, just getting mauled a little bit. That's a bad start, guys. The creep is always so slow with this modern slow creep tumor style. I miss the old Rainer style of just fighting to get that creep out as quickly as possible. But I think with the 175 Mineral Queen, you just can't. It's just not as viable. Getting 8/9 Queens super early is really tough. I do wonder if there's going to be some players who start building 30 Zerglings and flanking the Hellions and looking to surround them. We haven't seen any Ling Flood counters or anything this game. It's a slow third command center again, guys, so this is going to be a quick Hellion Banshee. But he hasn't dove the Hellion, so he hasn't found any massive disruption, but you can already see how low the worker count is for Solar, because he has to build extra spores, extra queens, extra lings so early, extra lair. Like, as a, you know, he's not taken direct damage, but he's taken a lot of indirect damage by having to invest in all of these defenses. That being said, he's done a good job so far. Oh, Spore Crawler repositioning. Nice Spore Trick, though. But every queen all in one squad is a big mistake. You're meant to split your queens, because otherwise you can't have them dealing with everything at once. Lings get a decent angle. Okay, and now we can pull back. Pull back with the Lings. Beautiful. Ah, Banshee does find 2 more drones. They're going to drift back in position. Why is every queen on one control group, guys? Oh, he pulled every queen on one control group. He chucked a Dark. Dark was always a fascinating case, guys, because he never once split his queens into 2 separate control groups. Every queen, including his inject queen, was always on one control group. And I always said Dark was the best player at stopping you from doing direct damage, but he was the worst at constantly taking indirect damage, because just by being in his side of the map, he would lose all of his inject time because his queens would run around chasing your units, like, and not injecting. This time it's going to be a Roach speed build. Double upgrades are going to be a bit behind. I would imagine you look for a 1/1 timing as Solar. We'll see how we go. Yeah, Dark's a very wonky player. He always found ways to do things other players wouldn't, but it was just so bizarre to watch that, wasn't it? Yeah, him and Hero just find ways to play their own style no matter what. Remember, Dark was the original guy that ruined Clem's first streak. Clem was like unbeatable in Europe, and then Dark just dominated him like 15 series in a row just by running Lings into his base. Every time Clem moved out, Lings ran in. Hellions move out, Lings run in. Marine Tank moves out, Lings run in. Whole army moves out, Ling Bane rolls into the third and the natural at the same time. Like, Dark just never went past 70 workers and just always had army waiting for Clem to move out. And Clem was just like, but the Europeans let me attack. And Dark's like, yeah, I'm not going to let you attack, idiot. You're going to have to learn to defend. And, you know, it set back Clem winning any championships or anything for a few years, I think, because a lot of the Europeans copied that style of Dark and really started giving Clem a lot more problems. But it made Clem a much better player in the long run as he learned to play the defensive side almost as good as the offensive. There used to be such a big difference between his defense and offense. One of the big things is he had to learn to stop spamming the F2 button. That was a game changer for him. No 1/1 for Zerg. 1/1 finishes for Terran. No combat shields yet, but this is still a good timing. Oh, he doesn't bile the tank. Okay, maybe missing an opportunity there. Clem backs away. I wonder if he could have fought. Yeah, I mean, with no combat shields, even with the 1/1 upgrades, it would have been dicey, but I think if he stood and fought and his Marines just ran forward and shift-clicked the Ravagers, he might have been able to just win that fight. Simply because 1/1 against 0/0 is such a big deal. Like, there wasn't that much Roach Ravager and the firepower was there. Clem plays it safe, though. He goes second factory. This is going to be a tech lab. He's going to go double tank production almost certainly. And I guess my question as he goes 2/2 here is, do we cut any unit production to build a 4th command center? Or does he just say, no, I'm only going to build the command center when I get the cash, which I guess he's got the money for now. And he will be building that on 8 minutes. There's no reason usually against Roach Ravager to do that. He scans to confirm it's not an all-in. And now, Drilling Claws concussive, and 3 more barracks will go down in the main. Why? Because he knows Solar's not just all-inning you. You can cut a little bit of Marine production. You see how he's not killing Marines right now? So he's going to build those 3 barracks pretty quickly. Because he's like, well, okay, we're going later game, aren't we? Let's keep up a few more Marines. 6, 7, 8 barracks has been delayed a little bit. He's going to push because he knows that Solar is not fully ready for it. Banshees see the Overseer. They have to pull back. Careful. It is just a Marine push, guys. This is a no-risk push. He's not going for a tank push. And he's got to get off creep. But there's no speed on those Banes. Chasing here would be a little bit crazy for Solar. Ultra Caverns on the way, as well as 2 Vipers. Nice timings for Solar. I gotta say, the early game sucked for him at the very start with the creep, the drone going down, a couple Zerglings, but I think he's stabilized very well from there. Banshees didn't do that much damage. Oh, don't lose your 5th base, mate. Dude, Solar can't secure a 5th for the life of him, can he? I know it's just hard to secure 5th bases against Clem, but I feel like that one he should have been ready for. Like, don't get me wrong. In the grand scheme of things, everyone's going to lose their 5th base many times playing Clem in a series. But I think that one was very avoidable. And I think if we just kind of glorify Clem and go, oh, he always kills your 5th, you can't defend it. I think sometimes we glorify Clem and overlook what should have been an easy defense of that first 5th base. It's not the most important base right now, but it's just one of those things where I think you've really got to have a sterile mindset of seeking perfection if you want to beat this freak. The Baguette Boy, man. He's a very hard player to beat. 3 more barracks finally did go down in the main, guys. A bit later than I expected. Ghost Academy as well. Immediate Tech Labs. Does miss the Tech Lab on the last one because that barracks just finished about a second later. We'll see how quick he notices that. He's very good at noticing. Feels like Clem kind of double checks things a lot more these days than he used to. Banshees do go down. And Marines, they're going to deny some creep, but that's all. Units lost tab. Only about 200 in favor of Clem. Now let's see how well Ultra Lingbane Viper does. He's got 15 roaches. That's the problem. These units suck, guys. Like, he would love to trade these roaches off right now because this army max is actually nowhere near as big as the number looks. Ultras will be good, but there is some Marauders mixing in and Widow Mines. All right, Roach Bane on the left is going to defend that. Coming forward, big attack in the middle, but there's 3 tanks with a Planetary and Widow Mines out front. I don't know if this is really assailable. I played a late game ZvT on this map the other day, and I realized this middle base, it creates such a nice strong point for Terran. It feels like there's no easy attack angle here. I think running in and abducting the tanks would be best. Unfortunately, you can't abduct siege tanks anymore, guys. Sorry. Do I sound mad? I'm mad. This is like my favorite thing for trying to break tank positions was abduct. Now I can't use it. Blinding Cloud does come in on that right side. These tanks on the left a bit too far out of position. One of those command centers will go down. Ultra Baneling's going to roll forward. Oh, the Baneling's taking Widow Mine hits. Another command center does go down. That's 2 command centers falling. Ultra's going to go down now, though. At least the tanks do fall, and it's time to get out of there. Biles do land on the Widow Mine. I think at the end of the day, that wasn't too bad a trade there for Solar. Yeah, he's only down about 900. That's not too bad, considering how late game trades often look. He also got rid of a few command centers. Problem is, Clem's got so many extra command centers. Does he care? And you notice Clem's basically only building ghosts right now? Nothing else? He's just building ghosts and Widow Mines. He's like, I'm happy to trade some Marine Marauder out, bro. Now, when this 5th base opens up, you could branch around the left side attack there. You could do a split push on the right and the left at the same time. The one thing I've learned is you almost never want to attack here unless the Terran army's out on the map. This front angle, it's a bait, it's a trap. Don't believe it's lies. Don't attack into this base unless you really know the army is not nearby. It's just it never seems to go well for me. Maybe I'm traumatized and I shouldn't be, but that's been my experience so far on this map. Ling's trying to come in. A couple ghosts are there. Command Center at least gets denied for now. Ooh, chasing up that ramp could be scary. Here come the Vipers, though. EMP lands. Only a single Blinding Cloud. Parasitic Bomb go down. Baneling's unable to really get between the choke points. And the Command Center is lifting off, killing the Ultras. This is just textbook play for Clem. Remember, guys, Ghosts are super powerful this patch. They got from down 3 supply down to 2 supply. They also have 125 hit points. Whilst they do die quicker to Banelings, Banelings are the only bonus to light damage that Zerg have in their arsenal. Everything else is much worse against the Ghosts. There's more of them in the maxed out army. They are tankier than Marauders, because Marauders at least hurt themselves with Stimpack, which the Ghosts do not. The Ghosts just... It's hard. Ultras do bonus damage to Armored, doesn't get the bonus damage against the Ghosts, whereas they do against the Marauder. The Ghosts are actually an incredibly effective frontline. As long as they don't get hit by Banelings, Ghosts are just wildly better across the board on this patch. That one little weakness is if Banelings connect, which was always hard to pull off, and Terrans are even more wary of it than ever. Now, these Roaches need to get rid of. These 9 Roaches, it's 18 supply of hot garbage. He doesn't want to throw them away for free, but I feel like Solar probably should. I like that he's denying the 5th base. He's going for a Nidus Worm as well. Dude, Ultra Lingbane is such a good army if the Terran ventures onto the map, but he's not venturing on the map here, Clem. Is he? The Lingbane, it gets through some Marines, but it doesn't really get through much else. It does bile down a Liberator at least as well. Some Roaches running in the right side. I do like this call. If he can move those in and focus some SCVs, just to get some actual damage would be nice. 3,000 resource loss deficit is really not that bad. I thought this would be much worse, especially since you're still trading Roaches and Ravagers out. Even these Ravagers, 3 supply units, really not worth it in terms of raw stats, especially now that the Terran army is becoming incredibly powerful. 18 ghosts. Libs coming in. I don't think there's any fusion cores just yet. Fusion core would be really nice. Nidus Worm in the main's good. Remember, guys, the Iron Bank is complete. There's 8 orbitals ready. If Clem secures this 5th, Solar is in massive trouble. Solar's attacking here as a distraction. He does get a Parasitic Bomb in the Metavax, but the instant split comes down, not to mention the snipe on the Viper as well. A bunch of Ravagers get popped. Nidus Worm goes down just seconds later. Didn't have anything inside to pop out. Solar, Lingbane Ultra is so good if the Terrans on the map, but when they start turtling like this, they will be efficient against it. This is basically a tempo style. Solar has to break through, but he can't get on top of these ghosts. There's just too many, man. The Baneling's not going to be able to take that out either. Oh, that planetary shot just killed like 10 Banelings. Fungal lands, but of course, Fungal doesn't do anything on its own. Easily healed through by Metavax. It's the Banelings connecting while the units are fungled is where damage can really happen. Ling's popping out. He's going to try and target that Ghost Academy. Pretty tanky structure. I think it's like 1250 life. But Adrenal Glands, +2 melee, not bad. Ghost Academy will fall. Forces a reaction as well. 11 Corruptors are here, guys. So he's going to guard the Corruptors. Remember, I always talk about Corruptors being a necessary late-game addition. But breaking this sort of defensive position, yes, Corruptors will help. It's still so hard. It's still so hard to have the numbers to actually crack through. I think he needs to rotate back to this right side. Problem is you can't rotate on this map because the Sensor Tower will see you rotating. Unless you go all the way around the backside, which means you give up a lot of time, a lot of tempo, he can see, oh, you're rotating Lingbane to attack my right side. And it's really easy for Clem to move over and respond. This is very nicely done. He could have blown up that planetary with Banelings. He might have been able to. It would have been the better call once he already committed. Oh, can he get this planetary? A couple lives go down. Nice fungal on the Ghost, but he's not got enough to capitalize on it. The Ling's going to run in the right side. Good pull on the Zergling to drag that Widowmine shot away. I love the Overseer coming in with it as well. Always love seeing an Overseer come in with the Zerglings to clean up those Widowmines. Lib range +2 vehicle plating. More libs are in the way, not to mention more command centers. And Clem just needs to hold the line. That's all he needs to do is just hold this entrenched position. The longer the game goes, the better it gets for Terran. Solar, let's put 15 workers there, 15 here, which is good. I love that he's mining these corners out. Maybe could have started doing it a little bit earlier, but splitting hairs. Infestor's all out of energy. Picks up, boosts away. Corruptor unable to close the distance. He's got to rebuild his Corruptors. He lost most of them in that last fight. Solar is now down 7... Oh my gosh. 9,000 resources in the units lost. That is nasty. Because yes, he's on 90 workers. Yes, he's mining the corners right now. He could take this base and start mining that, maybe. I feel like if you can mine some minerals off this base, that's very big damage, but here we go. Tank's going to try and block these units. Baneling's going to stop the repair. Planetary does go down. Snipes, every time you go in like this, the snipes are so punishing. Lings on the right side got cleaned up as well. You can see, yes, killing the command center seems okay, but he can just put a new orbital there. And I think going down to 54 workers is actually optimal. Clem has a giant army. He's going to counterpush. 14 Ghosts, 21 Marines, 12 Marauders, 8 Liberators, 6 Medevacs, 6 Widowmines, and of course 1 Siege Tank in the mix. There's an Infestor behind. But fungling this army doesn't do much unless you have a massive Banelings to crash through. And with so many Marauders up front, it's so hard to deal with this army. It's just a massive army differential right now. Widowmine lands on those Corruptors. Snipe starting to land on these units as they rally through. He doesn't have any Banelings, which means there's no way to clear these Ghosts. These Ghosts win a straight-up fight against this army without Banelings connecting. And that's an easy win with the Lib Zones and the Snipes. The Ultras getting popped out. And like I said, you need at least 40, 50 Banelings minimum to deal with this army, but that means rolling Banelings into a Siege Tank, a Widowmine spread, and a line of Marauders on the front, which is, of course, a Herculean task. I do feel that Terran is quite favored in the late game right now, but hats off to Clem, of course, for playing it so darned well. I think this map as well, this middle base, so powerful because it kind of naturally controls the center, and the fact that you can't rotate around the middle without going through their sensor tower kind of tank range is really bad. And this is one of the features which makes this map really tough in late game. It also makes White Rabbit really hard. So one of the things I've realized, guys, as we open up White Rabbit here is White Rabbit has the same issue. So once the Terran takes this middle base, you think, well, that's not that far into the middle. But what you realize is there's this ridge line here and here. So if your army's here, you want to rotate to the left side, you need to go backwards, either down here and then around. You need to steer around, otherwise your units run through the middle. They're getting shot by tanks, they're getting spot by sensor towers. So both White Rabbit and Tourmaline have this like kind of middle terrain where once the Terran controls that center base, it actually gives a lot more map control than I realized at first until I'd actually played some late game ZvTs on this map pool. Just an interesting thing to keep in mind. But hats off to Clem, he absolutely smashed that game. GG, well played.